Hello everybody, it's Cow here, Cow the Critic, and that's my new title. So, I'm going to be reviewing Orcs Unchained, Closed Beta 2.0, and honestly, I'm just going to get right into this video of me playing, and I'm just going to be talking over it and showing you some of the reasons why I feel like it's a lot worse than the old game. So I'm going to get right into that. So this is just some basic gameplay of me just playing Orcs Must Die, and I'm just going to kind of walk through, but I'm going to talk to Oob a lot more than just the gameplay, because there's a lot to this game, and honestly, a lot of it is not great right now. Basically, you see me here, I'm putting in my one card that I have that's special. Actually, I have two. Put in my Bear Shieldman. The Bear Shieldman, they're pretty powerful. Sorry, what I want to talk to you about right now, the minions. So, the way they have done the minions is they have mono-typed them. If you have watched my old Orcs Must Die videos, or you play yourself, or you watched it, you would know that the minions typically came in like, there'd be two different types of minions in one card. Now, it has been mono type, and this makes the game feel like it really lacks diversity, especially in the early game. In this early, I've played 20 games, and I've only seen like 5 different minion types, mostly light orcs, because that's what you start with. And you don't even have heavy orcs anymore, or heavy soldiers. They only go up to medium in any of the cards. Because there's actually a collection now that you can look at that shows you all the cards in the game. That will indeed be showing you that. I'll like show that to you right now. We're just gonna go and fade into that after this little fight right here. I'm gonna go back to doing stuff that's not so important. So right here, I'm just killing little stink guy. I'm playing Black Paw here. If you guys don't know what he does, he's an offensive assassin hero who can leap by double jumping, and he also has a bite which will heal him, and he'll summon some dudes up, and he'll cause extra damage to enemy heroes or enemies, any enemies that hits with that ability. Right there, which is my right click, and she just blinks away, and I'm gonna go on, and we're gonna just cut into looking at some of these cards. Guys, I'm just gonna sit here and talk to you guys about the minions really quick. So we're looking at the minions here, and first of all, I want to point out is that they have monotype them, and now you can only put 3 cards into a single barracks. So this was really taken out the diversity of waves and made it feel kind of boring, honestly. And it's very sad, like I said, honestly, and honestly. But so we have ogres here, and like you have your bears and your giants, and you have all the same minions, but now you're only having 3 of them wave. And if you notice, 2 giants on tier 3. Yeah, the waves. If you are familiar with the old game, the waves are so weak. Because before on tier 3, you would get cards like 5 medium soldiers and 2 giants, and it felt really good. You'd get to tier 3 and it'd feel really rewarding for being at tier 3. Or you could go and get your other base up to level 2. And now in my opinion, the only viable strategy is to get the second base up to level 2 first, because tier 3 isn't impactful enough. It basically doesn't do anything. You get medium soldiers, but who cares? Like, seriously, who cares? You get medium soldiers. They also, one point is they took heavy soldiers out of the game. That's for orcs and humans, which is very depressing because heavy orcs are like my favorite minions other than trolls. Because just, I just like the way they looked, and I just like their stats and stuff. And I mean, now also coordinating with your team is a really big deal, and it sucks because it's not always successful. For instance, if I'm using dwarf shamans, my team has to put in a large minion, or I have to, but I might not have the ability to because I might not have enough points. So if I'm playing dwarf shamans and all my teammates lock in satyrs, or they all lock in whatever, they all lock in just light soldiers or something, they don't put any big minions in, my dwarf shamans have now basically gone to waste. So there's that to think about. And other than that, I want to also talk about how hard these cards are to acquire. They are very expensive, every card. These ones, 6,000 for no particular reason they're more expensive than all the other cards. I guess they're just a lot better. I don't know. So if we look here, 4,500 and 6,000 for all these cards except for soldiers, which are 600, I guess, because you start off with light orcs in all slots, which by the way takes away from the diversity of the game a lot because of how hard it is to acquire cards. Seriously, right, that everyone has light orcs, and sometimes someone will have one other card. I have personally acquired 3 cards. 2 of them from this oaken chest. 250 skulls. I've spent 500 skulls. And I got a advanced ballista trap card, and I got kobold minion card. The other card I acquired in my very first game, after I won, it gave me a random card. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So like, first one of the day also gives you a random card. Not true. I've gotten 3 first one of the day since then, and that has not happened, and is so weird. I don't know how I'm supposed to acquire these high-costing cards without saving up my entire fortune, because there's other things I want to buy. For instance, traps, perhaps, but if not traps, gear. Even more expensive, 8,000 per, and for the really good stuff, you're going to be paying 1,200. So, or not 1,200, 12,000 on 1,200, totally different. And this is insane. Now, here's the... we'll go here first, before I talk about the really insane part. You got your bosses. And I'm going to talk about how unfair bosses are on the low levels, also. Because you'll run into games where your opponents will have boss monsters. You won't. No one on your team does. In the low levels, at least. And it's the worst. You will straight up lose. Not because the boss monster is so OP to come through and win the game, because they're playing it. And you're not, and they're getting that huge advantage of having that really strong minion in that wave, and you're just not getting that advantage. So if you look, they're all very expensive except for this one. They gave you the one really cheap one, and he's strong. It's not like he's weak. It's just that's not the one I want. So I'm not gonna get that one. I have to save up for the ones I do want, which is them with the troll. Now here's the really insane part. Looking at heroes, I have no idea how they expect you to buy heroes. 28,000. Like, I better start racking in the skull, because this is insane. I'm never going to be able to afford that. Never. I mean, how long do I have to go? 20 levels? 30 levels before I'm able to finally acquire skulls at a semi-decent rate. And it's honestly just ridiculous, the prices on these things. I don't even know what else to say about them. Like I said, I already talked about the game lacking diversity, only 3 hard to get cards, and I'm just gonna go back to the game. I have other things to talk about than just rant about how terrible this system is. At least at the early levels, like, I have no customization. None whatsoever. I cannot do anything. I just place whatever I have on my deck, and I go with it. And I'm just going to flash it back to the game before I start. So I talked very briefly there, or not very briefly even, for a while about lack of customization in this game currently, and lack of diversity. Thing that really bolsters that is I'm going to make comparisons to League of Legends and Dota here. League of Legends and Dota, same game every single time you play, right? But what is different about every game is your team, the character you're playing, and the character your opponents are playing. Now, this game has a very, very low pool of heroes. Only about, I can't remember, it was like 15 maybe, and like 3 of them currently are disabled. And they're so expensive you're not even going to be seeing most of them. I don't think any of the expensive heroes. I've seen like 1 or 2 because of course people are like founders or funders or whatever, and they're getting bonus gold for free basically. But other than that, I mean, that's not what's diversifying this game. Like in the other MOBAs, even Smite, where they have many heroes, and that's what changes the game. In this game, what changes it is the traps your opponents are using the minions you're using, the minions your allies are using, the minions your opponents are using. It's all what's changed in the game. It's all based around these cards. And when they're so hard to acquire, they almost, it's just these early levels I had to force myself to play because the same thing over again. I'm running the same exact heroes, same exact minions, and I'm doing the same things over and over again, and it's very unsatisfying. And like I said before, level 3 now, the tier 3 minions are laughable. They're really, really laughable. So I don't really know where else to go from here in this game, because unless I start earning skulls at a much, much faster rate, I see no point in my continued play, because I'm going to play for a long time, and then I'm finally going to be able to buy the boss monster I want, and then what? And then I'm still using the same 3 minion cards I've been using for the entire game, and then I gotta save up half that much to buy another singular minion card to try to make the game more diverse. And yeah, other people are doing that too, but I've seen hardly any minion cards that aren't just soldiers or orcs. It's insane. And orcs, by the way, are so weak. Like, the soldiers are straight up a million times better than them. And yeah, straight up a million times better, exactly a million times better. But they are so much better. The orcs are just worthless, the starting cards they give you. And I don't know why. Like, why do they have to give you weak cards to start with? Like, I understand that they don't want to give you, like, oh yeah, like the big strongest cards in the game, but they don't need to give you cards that are practically useless. Like, that can be replaced at the very beginning of the game for superior cards. It almost baffles me, honestly. I just don't really understand why they would do that, you know? Anyway, I just want to, like, talk about that a little bit, and I know I'm really talking about the gameplay here and what's happening. It's really not that much. It's just stuff happening on screen, you know? It's like just background noise at this point, and it's probably not that entertaining. I'm probably just jumping around and making a fool of myself. I think I did pretty well this game. Not that it's hard. It's just whatever it is. And also, acquiring new minions, most of the time, like, it doesn't, like, I haven't really done it, but it doesn't seem like it's satisfying at all. If you look, all of the minion upgrades, like before it was, you went from, light soldier, like 5 light soldiers to 8 light soldiers to like 5 medium soldiers and like 2 giants. No more of that. It's like, yeah, light orcs, and then more light orcs, and then medium orcs, and then more medium orcs. And it's like you go from 2 bears to 3 bears. It's so underwhelming, amazingly underwhelming. And there's just so little that this game has going for it right now. There's so little. I want to keep playing it, but I just have no reason to. There are skill points also, by the way, and I'll show you guys those really quick up on the screen, and we'll talk about those for just a little bit, just a second. So this right here is what they call the trait builder, which is basically a little, not really skill tree, just you put in skills. And you can also get these, I have no idea how, I guess they're just normal cards, and they're honestly just pretty stupid things. They're like, yeah, bonus damage to orcs, and bonus damage done by your traps to these minions, and they're all pretty lame, honestly. And if you look, I have 5 points for getting to level 5, and it looks like I'm getting 1 point every level thereafter, because I earned a 1 for hitting level 6. And they're tiny bonuses. I feel like I got 0.20 per point in attack damage, and I spared the 1 point so I can show you this. I can get the trickle of coin plus 0.05, maximum health plus 0.25. I mean, it's something, but it feels like, I mean, eventually, I don't know how many points you're gonna have at the end, but eventually you will make an impact. I mean, whether it's a big deal or not, I can't tell you. It's probably not. And this is just really so just boring. Oh my gosh. Gonna do a quick. Alright, awkward cuts are pretty awkward, but we're back here and we're just gonna be talking about a lot of different things now. First of all, I want to talk to you guys about I mentioned minions not having enough diversity and not being enough diversity in the game, not enough whatever, and the big culprit for this, like I said before, is not being able to acquire new minion cards. If we compare this game to a game like League of Legends or Dota, League of Legends, Dota, Smite, they're all the same, right? You don't even have variation in minions, but what you do have is variation in heroes. This game has upwards of 15 heroes, 3 of which are unavailable right now, and with the insane price tags on them, you're not going to be seeing really that many more than the free ones. Sometimes you'll see guys who have like maybe robot employees who have some of the higher tier, or not necessarily higher tier, but more expensive heroes than the ones that aren't free. But it's not a guarantee. And I've played very few games with those other heroes, and it destroys the diversity in this game. In League of Legends and Dota, that's what makes the difference, is you have a different team every game, well, almost every game, you know, and you play a different hero, or your team or your enemy play different heroes. Even if you play the same hero, you will always have a different environment, almost. I mean, you'll run the same environment, same selection of heroes sometimes, but it's very rare, because there's such a high number. What gives this game diversity is traps. What traps your team is using, what traps you're using, what traps your opponents are using, what minions your opponents are using, what minions you're using. In this game, I wanted to use this game because it's a good example of no diversity. And you might think, well, why would I want to use a game where I can show something that's more fun? Well, actually, since I'm talking over anyway, I'm not talking about the gameplay, I want you guys to realize that, like, this is a game one of the newest games I've played, and we have used nothing but medium orcs throughout the entire game. Medium and light orcs, because no one has anything else. I used bears at the beginning, actually. I have my bear showman, but other than that, we use nothing but medium and light orcs, because no one has anything. So, and that's how it's going to be in a lot of games. Like, sometimes people have soldiers, and soldiers are basically the same thing. And so you're not getting that diversity, and it's so hard to acquire these cards at these levels. And I don't know how long I have to play before I start making skulls. And it's just insane. Like, I'm so bored and worn out on this game. It's so meh, because I'm just playing the same thing over and over again. And there's no diversity whatsoever. Not in the slightest. It's the same thing. And like in the other games, like I said, of course you have the champion diversity, and this game doesn't have that. I think they really need to make those cards more accessible, because by the time I am able to upgrade my deck, like, do I even care? I have to keep playing so much, and the progression is so slow and just all over bad. I'm not getting anything new. The players in this game, right now there aren't many. It's like, you won't probably see more than 100 people online at the same time, because of course it's closed beta, and then that results in another problem, another lack of cards. I just can't, like, comprehend why they have made these changes. Beforehand, I was level 10, and I had I felt like I had actually made something. I had a deck of varying traps and minions, and I didn't always see the same things, and you can't destroy cards in this either. They have gotten rid of that mechanic, so you can't destroy cards to make the ones you want. Not that you're getting many anyway. It's just a huge grind and hassle, and like I said, by the time I get the one card I want, I've gone in, and now I have to go play a million other games to get one other card that I want. And it's just, I don't know why they have done it this way, why they have chosen to do it this way. Another thing I want to talk about real quick is unfairness. This game has many unfair concepts, especially, I think this is mainly a problem with low levels, and I'm not even sure, probably medium levels too, because of the insane costs on the boss minions. I have lost many a game. Like, if you noticed, I have 6 wins. I told you I played about 20 games, which is totally true. And I have won 6 wins. Because there's so many games where, like, I'll just take an example from one of my previous games where we didn't have any special minions. We just had the Orcs. And the enemy's defense was so good, they were at such high level traps that at tier 4, our minions couldn't get through their traps. They didn't even need to protect it. The traps just killed all of our minions without them even having to fight back. And that was really depressing. We couldn't win. We just couldn't get through. And so boss monsters are just insane. They're so strong. They'll come through and they can really, really push a wave. They'll most time get a gate or a guardian. They're gonna get an objective, almost guaranteed. And I've had teams that don't have boss monsters. I think right here we're gonna see my ally right there, Hogreth, just placing the boss monster, and that's very rare. I've only had 2 cases where my team has had a boss monster, and it's so it just sucks. It really sucks when your team doesn't have a boss, and the enemy team does, because they're coming through and they're making that huge push, and you don't have the capability to make that huge push. Like maybe in the spot where all of my minions were dying, and they at tier 4, maybe if we had had a boss monster like that one, which disables traps, we could have gone through at least a little bit and forced them to have to defend, and maybe we could have pushed the other wave or something. But we didn't have that option. So, I mean, I think I don't know, I don't think this is a solution. I'm not a game designer, but what I think you could do is, to diversify the game a little bit, is don't give everyone the same starting minions. Now, I'm not saying, give everyone different minions. I'm saying maybe let people choose from, like, 3 different minions or something, instead of just everyone having medium or light orcs. It's very, very boring. For instance, I would love to have heavy orcs. I would pick that, but I know people would definitely pick, like, heavy soldiers. I mean, if you just did, like, pick soldiers or orcs and make orcs so a lot less useless. They're so bad. Humans are downright better in every way. And it's very, honestly, upsetting, because I really like orcs a lot more than humans, so I want to use them. But if I want to play competitively or seriously, I'm probably not going to be able to, because of how seriously weak they are. So, and then same thing with boss monsters. Maybe, like, give 3 semi-weak boss monsters. Like, they're not super weak, they're not super good, they're not super bad, but, like, let people pick, like, 3 different ones that they could, like, that they would want. 3 ones that, preferably they have different abilities. Maybe you have, like, a mage one, a tank one, and, like, an offensive one, and you can kind of, like, go with that, and people will be able to do a little bit, or at least have a little bit of diversity in their early gameplay. Because right now this game is scaring me off. It's scaring me off. I don't want to play anymore. I'm earning so few skulls, I'm not able to customize, and the game is the same thing over and over again, and it makes it very unrewarding to play. Very unrewarding. One of the most unrewarding games I've ever played, actually. Even with the skill tree, even with, whatever, the little chest thing, because I don't want to waste my money on the chest. I mean, I apparently could get anything from the chest. I could get a boss monster, but I could also, the chances are probably low. I could probably spend all of my money and not get a boss monster, or not get even a minion maybe. I could get experience, like spend 250 skulls and get experience, and then what am I going to do with that? What am I going to do with that? So, it's just, this game is becoming very, very risque, and honestly, I'm going to go out of my way, and I'm going to say, don't play this game. Don't play it until it's changed. And I love this game. I love it, and I want to play it, but I'm not going to anymore. I'm seriously done with it. Playing it just enough to have the information for this video was painstaking almost. I mean, at first I was enjoying it. I enjoyed like the first 5, 6, 7 games, and then I'm like, nothing has changed. Literally nothing has changed from when I first started playing this game. And I mean, with League Legends, nothing's changed, but at least you're seeing different champions, you're seeing different enemies, you're seeing different characters on your team, on the enemy team. And even at low levels, there are lots and lots of heroes you can buy for super cheap to diversify the early game play when you're low level. But it just doesn't seem to be happening in this game. There's the one cheap minions, and they're the same thing as the free minions, so it seems almost pointless. Everything in this game feels almost pointless, and that's the bottom line. In a MOBA game, you need to have, since it is in all MOBA games, essentially the same thing over and over again. You need to have your thing that diversifies the gameplay. In this case, of course, like I said, it's minions and traps, and when you're not getting the minions and traps, it's very boring. And when you always using these starting minions and starting traps, and it's the same thing over and over again. One thing I want to talk about just really quick, because I went on a tangent on that a little bit longer than I should have, is the fact that they have now specified which heroes are offense and which heroes are defense, which I really don't like, because personally I really like playing Stink Eye. I don't like playing defense though, and I really like playing Stink Eye offense. It's actually very strong, and I actually have won several games with it, but he has special advantages to being defense over offense. Like, he starts off with coin instead of leadership, and he also starts off with traps. He has a additional trap he can use. And in League of Legends, obviously there's some League of Legends, Dota, whatever you want to compare it to, there are obviously champions that are better at some things than others, and I don't mind that, but I don't like the fact that I can basically, that's giving me incentive, like a huge incentive to play in that role that isn't just the character's skills and stats. So there's that too. I mean, so I don't know what they want to do with that. Like, you could choose role, offense or defense, in the character menu, and that would determine whether you get a trap or a glyph or both leadership or coin to start with. And that's like, I could talk about that a little bit more, but this video is coming to an end, so I just wanted to bring this to you guys, and my final verdict is, don't play this game until it gets updated. Alright guys, I've been cowZ, this time the critic, and I will see you guys in the next video.